School education was founded in 1844 as New York's first teachers college. And we're delighted to be able to continue this tradition of leading and supporting educators and parents who are dealing with homeschooling and other education right now through this interesting times that we're now living in. Several weeks ago, we set up a new resource called www.remoteed.org, which was designed specifically to help educators and parents navigate this new space with a curated list of online resources that are available for use in this environment, as well as tips and tricks about how to better navigate this space. As part of this effort, we've also been developing these community conversations that allow us to bring experts together with members in the community to help to collectively navigate what we're dealing with. And we're delighted today to be able to present a presentation on manifesting mindfulness practices for parents, children, and schools. We know that in addition to just navigating the need of providing a educational experience for our students, we also have to be, I think, more cautious about the mental health issues associated with the times that we're in right now, as we are all navigating entirely new spaces of living full-time together, helping our students navigate the educational experiences, while many of us also working remotely at the same time. And so we're delighted to bring with you two experts today, Jess Fuller and Mary Beth Finnerty, who are going to be talking and helping us think through this issue of mindfulness and how it relates today. So without that, I will turn it over to our panel.
Alrighty, we can hear me? Okay, hi everybody, I am Jessica Fuller. I'm at the Hot Yoga Spot location right now in Stuyvesant Plaza. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're really looking forward to presenting a little bit on manifesting mindfulness practices for parents, children, and schools. Just, a way to kind of be really conscious of what's going on in the world right now, how you're feeling about it, how you're relating to it, what it's kind of triggering for you, and then ways to deal with those emotions, to stay mindful and make sure that you're healthy, you're taking care of yourself, and you're being your best self for other people. So a little bit about me. I am a UAlbany graduate. I went there for my undergrad, and I also went to the School of Ed and graduated with my master's in 2009. I was teaching actively for a few years at some different schools in the area. I was tutoring, substitute teaching, doing some maternity leave, stuff like that. And then in 2010, I ended up opening my first Hot Yoga Spot location. And we now have 5 studios in the capital region. I also co-own some other wellness businesses in the area. And I am the CEO of 2 locally founded franchise systems. So I've done a lot in health and wellness over the last 10 years. And obviously also have a strong background in education from my time at UAlbany and my experience before I opened the studios. So I'm really excited to be here today. The last thing I'll say about myself is that I am co-chair of Atlas with the School of Education. I've started doing that in the last year. I'm really excited about it. I've been lucky to work very close with Jerry Rivera-Wilson and some other really talented people on that. So it's been great. So I'm excited to be here today, and thank you for having me.
And hello, everybody. I'm so delighted to be here with you today. I'm Mary Beth Finnerty. And a little bit about my background. I earned my bachelor's in social work from Siena College quite a while ago, and then went on to the great UAlbany Rockefeller College School of Social Welfare, where I got my master's in 1990. I worked as a clinical social worker for over 20 years, primarily with children with special needs and their families. About half of those years actually in the school setting, and then the second half in early intervention and preschool in the home. And made a career change about 13 years ago and began working in higher ed. So I'm at Siena College in an administrative role, but I do have the opportunity to work with the college age set now in a variety of ways on campus. And then 8 years ago, I became a yoga teacher, where I've been teaching yoga meditation since that time. And I've been at the Hot Yoga Spot for the last just over 5 years. It's been a really wonderful way for me to blend my knowledge and practice in the clinical setting, the school setting as a social worker, with the wellness and mindfulness practices that yoga brings. So I'm really excited to be here with you all today.
All right, so we're just gonna hop right into it. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the act of being really present in the moment. The goal of mindfulness is to be aware of something in an intentional and non-judgmental way. So thinking about how you're feeling, how you're responding to something, and not judging yourself for it, not, dismissing yourself for it or anything like that, but just really openly and honestly taking a look at yourself, how you feel physically, what's going on mentally, just being aware of what's happening in the present moment and really tuning into that. So that's how we describe mindfulness. That's what we'll be talking about today, and how to just get better in tune and in touch with your feelings, with your mental state, with the way you're processing your emotions and everything going on in the world right now. One way that we do that is with meditation. So meditation practices refer to the deliberate act of regulating your attention through observation of your body, of your emotions, of the thoughts that are coming in and out of your mind at any given time. So we're going to talk a little bit about what mindfulness is, what meditation is, how you can link those two things together, and how they'll improve your overall health and mental well-being. So different ways to practice mindfulness. You can do a still meditation, which I'm sure is probably the most common one that people know about, that they're familiar with, where you just stay very still. As thoughts come into your mind, you acknowledge them, and then you try to release them and just kind of focus again. So a still meditation is the most common one. Walking meditation is something that people don't know about as much, but they probably end up doing, especially these days, on a regular basis without even realizing it. Going for a walk, paying attention to how you feel when you're doing it, the things that you're seeing, the way that you're feeling in your surroundings, what's bringing you joy, what's coming up as you're alone, and doing a little bit of physical activity. And then a mindful body scan is another type of meditation. So this is something where you really tune in to your physical body and what's going on, if there's pain anywhere, if there's any type of tension, anything you can release. So Mary Beth and I thought it would be cool to do a few minutes of a mindful body scan, just as an example. So I will encourage all of you now to close your eyes. Try to sit really still, whatever chair you're in, get as comfortable as you can. And just close your eyes and start to picture yourself on a beach. So pretend that it's warm, much warmer than it is right now if you're in upstate New York like we are. And just start to breathe really deeply. So take a long inhale. Pause at the top of your breath. And then exhale very slowly. And pause at the bottom of your exhale. Try that again. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Pause at the top. And then slow exhale. Let that exhale be even longer than your inhale. And then pause at the bottom. So you're going to keep breathing just like that with your eyes closed, letting your breath start to regulate, start to slow down. And while you're doing it, just pretend that you're sitting, your chair, whatever you're sitting on, pretend that it's right at the beach and you have your feet right up at the water's edge and you're relaxing in the sun. You feel good, and you're just checking into your body. So as you breathe in, pretend that the waves are coming up and just washing over your toes, over your feet. And then as you exhale, the wave pulls away, and any tension in your feet and your toes pulls right out with it. Pause, and then take a deep breath in. Pretend the water is coming back a little bit higher now, over your toes, over your feet, your ankles, maybe up to your mid-shins. And then as you exhale, let that water retreat and let any pain, any tension, go ahead and retreat away with it. On your next inhale, picture that happening again, the water washing up a little bit higher, all the way over the lower part of your legs, up over your knees.
That's why pale.
And then as you exhale, let the water wash right away, any tension in the low body leaving with it.
That is water.
We're going to do one more breath together, just like that. As you inhale, the water comes up over the entire low body, right up to your hips.
What are you doing?
Pausing at the top. And then as you exhale, just releasing any pain, any tension into the water and away. So you can sit like that for a few more moments with your eyes closed and just check in with your body. As we do a mindful body scan, it's a really good way to pay attention to individual parts of your body, the little parts you don't think about often, your toes, your ankles, fingertips, stuff like that. And it's a really great way to pay attention to your physical body, to acknowledge what's going on in it, to better understand it, and then to see, if there is pain you're carrying somewhere, if there is tension you're carrying somewhere, is that tension something you can release, something you can work toward releasing, something you can let go of, or maybe acknowledging that tension, that pain is related to an injury, it's something that's there to stay. But I think doing a mindful body scan experience just like that is a great way to just check in, to tune your mind into your body, and to create more union in your existence. So everybody, you can open your eyes if you haven't yet. And now we're going to talk a little bit about why mindfulness is really relevant right now. Obviously, in the light of COVID-19 and this pandemic, we are all going through challenges. We're all going through changes. This is an unprecedented experience. None of us have ever done anything like this before. A lot of us have never been in these situations before. I can speak personally to that. I've owned my studios for 10 years, and we have never closed for more than, maybe one day at a time for a really bad snowstorm. And we've now been closed a little bit more than a month. So I can personally say that this is uncharted water for me, uncharted territory, and I know it is for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So mindfulness is really important right now because it's a way to cope with what's going on and to process the way that you are processing the changes that are happening now, physically, mentally, in the world around you, health-wise, to people you love, and stuff like that. So for kids, I think some of the challenges to mindfulness right now, some of the things going on for them, they're away from school, they're away from their friends, they don't have normal routines right now. They are, a lot of them, trying to learn remotely for the first time. I know my son, he's only 3.5, but he was in school a few days a week. Now he meets with teachers and therapists and stuff like that online and does teletherapy, which for a 3.5-year-old is obviously adorable, but it's challenging and it's not something he ever had done before. So even at that young age, he's now adjusting to mindfulness, or he's now adjusting to changes going on. And as a family, we're trying to be mindful of how can we help him thrive in this situation? How might this be a struggle for him? So same thing for any students right now. They're learning in a new way. They're not with their friends. They're not experiencing their normal routines, the hobbies they enjoy. So they're going through a hard time. Similarly, teachers are struggling in a lot of ways right now. Many of them have started using new methods to teach, doing Zoom classes, Google Hangouts, stuff like that, which are for a lot of them tools they haven't used before. And they're trying to engage students through a computer screen, which is really challenging. Sometimes it's hard to just engage students when you have them in your classroom. So, then you take the element of, they're at home, there's TV in the background, their siblings are running around, their parents are being noisy, and you're trying to keep them engaged, keep them learning, make the time you have with them fulfilling and successful and help them thrive. So, it's a really challenging time for teachers for that reason. And then lastly, parents, they have so much going on right now between trying to make sure that their children are being homeschooled effectively, that they're getting the knowledge that they need, they're not missing anything crucial from school. Parents are also dealing with the stress that the rest of the world is dealing with, anybody's dealing with, of, am I going to lose my job? Am I healthy? Is my family healthy? Do I need to, am I working from home? Am I still essential and I'm not working from home? And is that a potential health risk to myself or my loved ones? So every single person is dealing with stuff right now, regardless of if you're a parent, if you're single, if you live with friends, if you live with family, if you live alone. And I think, all of these groups kind of coming together and having this shared experience, but everybody having it in a very different way, is something that we should all be mindful of right now. And I think mindfulness right now is important because all of these groups, everybody needs a way to check in with their emotions, to pay attention to how they're feeling, how are they processing things, if you've lost income, if you are unsure if you qualify for unemployment, if you don't know how you're going to help your child better understand their homework because they haven't been to school in a month. These are real concerns for a lot of people, and mindfulness practices are a great way to just make sure you're prioritizing self-care, that you're aware of your mental health, and that you are taking care of your needs and better able to take care of your family and your loved ones in light of these new challenges that we're seeing every day. So there are some benefits of mindfulness that we'll discuss for students. Some of those include being better able to deal with stress and anxiety. So when you have a really good handle on your mental health, on how your mind is processing things, on how you're coping day to day, and how you're adjusting to new routines, then you're better able to deal with stress when it comes up. You're less susceptible to peer pressure, to bad decision making. You just have a better idea of what you want, how you want to do it, and how you're going to go about getting that. So you're less susceptible to those things. You are a lot of times more resilient in the face of challenges, of negativity. And then you also, from an education standpoint, you can often be a lot more focused. So you're able to do better on tests. You're able to complete your homework with less distractions, stuff like that. Even being able to stay calm and focused when you're doing your work. when you're working on a project, if you have to publicly speak. I think mindfulness helps you play a role in all of those things. And then also from an emotional standpoint, it gives you better empathy towards other people and improved mood in general. If you are really in tune with your feelings and your mental state and the way that you're dealing with certain situations, then it gives you a much better handle to do that same thing for other people, your peers, your teachers, in similar situations, to just better understand how they're dealing with things, why they're acting certain ways, what you can do to help the situation instead of hurt the situation. So it's really important for that reason as well. And then just to become a more understanding person, more creative, more open-minded. These are all reasons why mindfulness is really great for students. Some of the benefits of mindfulness for teachers would include being able to practice more patience. I think that's something that's always challenging for teachers. I know being a teacher is so tough. You have 20, 25 kids in a room multiple times a day, and they all have to work together, and you have to be able to effectively teach all of them, and it's difficult. So you take that and then you bring it to a remote setting where now you're trying to effectively engage and teach all of these students and, just try to do the best you can with them. And it is frustrating, and it is easy to lose your patience and to be short-tempered or just feel like you are not doing the best job you can do. So I think mindfulness is really great for teachers to be able to be more patient with students, also to be more patient and understanding with themselves. So having more empathy toward themselves, knowing that they're doing the best that they can, and just, really understanding kind of everybody's position in this situation. It's also great for just being able to stay more organized, focus more, multitask a little bit better, being mindful, having a clear head is great from that standpoint as well. And then just reducing to stress long-term is really important. Obviously, being a teacher is a tough job. It's an undervalued job sometimes, unfortunately. And in this situation, it's even tougher. So being mindful, practicing self-care are all great ways to make sure that you have increased happiness long-term, that you're not going to burn yourself out, and that you're able to fill your own cup and stay open-minded and clear-headed with challenges as they present themselves. And then the last group we'll talk about is better benefits of mindfulness for parents. So like I said, parents are up against all of it. They're trying to help their kids with homeschooling as they're also worried about their own future and all the decisions and work that they have in the short term and the near future. So being mindful and practicing it is something that's going to help parents to be able to have more patience when dealing with their kids and with dealing with new challenges from work, whether that's working from home or the struggles of not being able to stay home right now with your family when you feel like you need to. You also will be able to better understand some of what's going on with your children. If they're frustrated, if they're acting out, if they're not behaving like they normally do, being mindful and having mindfulness practices will help you to better empathize with their situation and ultimately come to a solution that is better for the entire family, making sure that you are reacting to things they're doing in a positive way that's going to, help things get better instead of help them get worse. It will also give you compassion toward yourself, which is so important. Just like we talked about with teachers, things are tough right now. They're tough for everybody. So being compassionate, showing that compassion toward yourself and knowing that you're doing the best that you can, you're working as hard as you can, you're helping your kids as much as you can, you're taking time for yourself as much as possible. These are all really important benefits of being mindful as a parent. And then lastly, that goes hand in hand with just having less stress as you make these decisions, as you try to care for your family, and just empathizing, giving yourself credit, giving yourself compassion, and trying to have less stress long-term and a more open-minded approach to problems as they arise. And then I'll let Mary Beth take a little from here.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
So challenges to mindfulness during this time of the COVID pandemic, and some of them we've already touched on already, but just to go through them again. Our home now has become home, school, and work. There's many people now back in a home. There can be multiple generations, big kids, little kids, and adults trying to work. We are all experiencing change in structure and schedule, and we all face that uncertainty of what's to come. Finances, worries about health, loved ones, and then, of course, the restrictions that we currently have on many of the things that are our coping mechanisms that help us just really thrive: physical activity, our social interactions, our pastimes, and routine.
I forgot that was me.
That's okay. So I'm going to talk about some general strategies, and then, and these really we can all benefit from in any setting, but particularly looking at where we all are now from home. And then I'll get into some specific things for kids. So routine and structure. We know kids thrive on routine and structure, and really big kids do too, right, as us adults. So whatever you're doing at home right now, whether you are working, whether you're job searching, so many people now are out of work and they've got that job search going, or whether you're homeschooling, having that regular routine can help us feel productive. And it also creates this sense of stability and control that we don't have in other parts of our life right now. So first thing, start your day with something positive to set the tone for the day. And it's so unique for all of us. What makes us feel good? It might be to actually sit down and meditate. It might be to read, sit and enjoy your coffee rather than multitasking, running around the house, getting ready, maybe sitting with your family, even just for a few moments to have breakfast together. This sense of calm can set the tone and of positivity for the day. You know, it's interesting, and we're seeing so many things coming out, right? Social media, different images. And one thing I've seen a lot is people staying in their pajamas. And I'm not saying that that's not a good thing to do. But one of the things I think that we need to do is differentiate. So we keep in that routine that we would have had when we leave the house. Many people do work at home anyway without these times, but getting up, getting yourself ready for the day really gets us in that productive mode. At least changing to some yoga pants out of your pajamas, right? Where possible, and I know this isn't possible for everybody, but have a set place in your home for work and a separate place for school and relaxation. And I know that's a challenge for families with a few kids at home, but however you can differentiate that. I think it can be really hard to be working at home and to have that separation at the end of the day, work is done. And so that then you can go on with the rest of your day, do the things that you like to do to relax, get outside, have your family time, or have your alone time. Moving on to screen time. So movement breaks are so important. And we all know kids love to move, and that can be so organizing and calming. One of the big challenges, I think, is that we have this technology, which is so needed, but we're tied to it. So it's really important during the day to take short breaks to get up and away from the computer, whatever device you're working from, whether that's kids or adults, even for just a few moments, an hour, 1 moment even, to get up, move, stretch, take a few deep breaths. It really can help to shift around the energy. Another thing with technology, and this is really shown in a lot of research, that when we're so attached to technology, it really does rev up the nervous system. So we're staying in a little bit more of that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system. And even just taking short breaks here and there can give you that reset to feel calmer, maybe less reactive, keep the mind more creative and fresh. News, monitor your intake of news. This is good for all of us, but especially if there's kids at home and you have the news on constantly, it can just, again, keep us in that elevated, fearful state. I've found this for myself. I like to have the news on sometimes in the background while I'm working, and I realized I just really felt kind of revved up and elevated more often than not. So now I put on the news when I want to check in with things so I stay informed, but I do not have it on at all times. And then the last thing with devices and screen time, again, this is shown through research. Putting your devices away at least an hour before sleep can help the nervous system to calm itself and reset. Somebody shared a really helpful strategy recently that I heard. If you're a Kindle reader, for example, maybe this is the time to pick up an actual book if you like to read for enjoyment. And the same true for kids. They're probably spending more time on computers and devices than before. So taking that break, maybe doing something that's more movement-based would really be helpful at this time. Mindful eating. Making mindful food choices can really help us also feel more centered and balanced. It is completely normal to crave comfort foods during stressful times, and it's certainly okay, and I encourage that. But think about a balance of those healthy choices, about what you're eating and drinking most of the time. Again, that's going to help us maintain more balanced, steady energy, and also help us to manage our stress more effectively. We tend to crave, it's just the serotonin that we might get from different foods. the carbs and the sugars. Again, just moderating that, especially if you're sensitive, and again, especially for kids, balancing that out. And of course, lots of water can help with that as well. I'll talk about the mindful eating a little bit more in the strategies for kids specifically, but you can make that a game too with textures, and even with just slowly eating is a great way to practice mindfulness. Moving. So again, to get into movement, I'm seeing more people, I don't know about all of you, I'm seeing more people walk than ever before. I've seen people in my neighborhood I never met before, which is maybe one of those silver linings in this situation. So when you can, where it's safe to have that social distance, get outside and walk, even for just a few moments. There's wonderful online options, like we have at the Hot Yoga Spot, two classes a day, or at least that you can take and practice all levels. There's also recorded classes of yoga and meditation. So if you want to delve into a more structured meditation class, you can check those out there. But really, whatever you like, dancing, getting things moving, riding bikes. Movement helps release those endorphins, which are the feel-good chemicals in our body, as does nature. Just getting outside, take a few deep breaths, hug a tree. It can help us to feel grounded. So when you're outside, really just take that moment, take a few deep breaths, and really root your feet into the ground. We really can garner some energy from the earth. Again, we're looking to stay more grounded here with these practices. Laughter is the best medicine. Another thing, laughter is known to release those endorphins. So Netflix, Hulu, I'm personally staying with the comedies and the feel good rather than the things that are heavier during this time. Maybe you're going to call a friend who's funny or a family member. And, this is the time we can rely on each other, I think, and reach out. And maybe when we're having that down day or moment, rely on somebody else. And then in turn, we can be that person for someone else. So few special considerations for children and your teachers, a lot of these. Offer choices whenever possible, whether it's with the youngest kids, giving them a choice of their snack, their outfit, or what activity. In this time where we all do not have control over so many things, having some choices, some control, ultimately helps us to feel safer. If parents are both working from home, if you can arrange to switch off between your work time and time spent with the children, either with school, work, or play. That way kids are getting quality time with each parent. It's helpful for everyone. And for the parents' side, maybe not feeling quite so overwhelmed with all that they have to juggle. Taking care of pets and playing with them. I know, for my kids are grown up, but having my dog is such great therapy. And it's certainly good for our animals, whatever type we have. It's the ultimate mindfulness because animals are just ultimately so in the moment as our kids. I love this one. If grandparents or other family members not in the home have flexibility during the day, schedule a video chat. This could be a great break for parents working or teaching at home. And it's also so healthy for the adults that now can't be around the grandchildren and as well as the kids. Expect interruptions. This is just a time we really need to be flexible and not expect perfection of ourselves. Be kind and compassionate to yourself and patient with your children and the rest of your family, knowing everybody is doing the best they possibly can in this situation. I think especially as you get into the teens, the preteens, the teens, acknowledge their feelings of frustration and disappointment around missing friends and activities, especially those in those pivotal years of a graduation or a transition year. Help the kids identify activities that maybe they could serve as a substitute. Some other mindfulness activities. So I think it's important to think about, often we think meditation and mindfulness together and just kind of broke down some of the differences. Meditation is a type of mindfulness, but mindfulness can be present and we can take part in it throughout our days. So you might never sit down on a yoga mat or a chair and actually do meditation, but you can be mindful at all times or at different times, not at all times, but in many times throughout the day. So those mindful meals, again, you can make a game or a little science experiment out of it. Eat slowly. What tastes, smells, and textures can you notice? There's actually one specific activity that you can do, and you can find it online. It's using a raisin. You can use a raisin or you can use a piece of chocolate. See whichever one you like best. And it's really taking that just one and taking a few moments to put it in your mouth, savor it, notice all the different aspects. That would be a great thing to do with kids. And for adults, it's a really calming activity. The tense and release muscle. Again, you can make this a game. For the big kids, for the adults, this is a good one to do before you go to sleep at night, especially if you have trouble going to sleep. So I'm not going to guide you through that, but basically what you would do, reclined on your back, starting with your toes, squeeze each muscle group. So you would start with your toes, tense and release, maybe do twice with each muscle group, and move all the way up your body, eventually squeezing your whole body as tight as you can, including making your face like a prune. Kids love to do that. Squeeze your fingers and your hands together, and then release. What it's doing is really teaching the muscles what it feels like to be tense and what it feels like to be calm. And ultimately, we're going to feel better when we do that. It's a great mindfulness activity. Any things that kids like to do outside, again, I'm going to say the bigs and the littles can be mindful activities. Jumping rope, blowing bubbles, playing ball, sidewalk chalk, swinging. That's great to get that vestibular input in there, engaging all the senses. Listening to music, and with that, maybe actively listening to music, as with the mindful meals, maybe listening for certain tones, for certain qualities. Playing musical instruments. I've heard of people learning an instrument during this time on their own. People that are playing the instrument maybe in the past are bringing that back. Can be so uplifting and very mindful. I Spy, great mindfulness activity with all the different variations that you can do, colors, shapes, all of those things. A great sensory mindfulness activity. You could do this in the home. You could do it outside if you're playing in the yard. Similar to I Spy, but find something that you can see, taste, feel, hear, smell, and then share about it. Journaling is a wonderful mindful activity, again, for children as well as adults. It's really helping, as Jess was talking about, processing, and I love that. We're emotionally processing what's happening right now. So whether to journal after you do these activities or just journal as things come up. What I'm hearing from a lot of people kind of in my circle is there's a lot of ups and downs for both the kids and the adults, feeling more uplifted, feeling more hopeful, and then feeling much less certain. And that's just going to be normal. We're all in that. But by writing that down, it can really help us come in touch with how we're feeling, feel a little bit more settled in this moment. Similar to that, art projects of any sort. A lot of people are doing puzzles now. It's very hard to even find puzzles. So really be creative, maybe pulling out something that you like to do as an adult. And then for the kids, maybe you're offering them something new or bringing back something that was a favorite activity. So the last thing I'm going to share is an activity that I like to do when I worked in the classroom with kids with special needs, and then a little bit in the home with the younger kids. This was a great one for kind of that early elementary age group. And I worked with kids with multiple disabilities and special needs. So I share that because this was something even kids with a lot of attentional difficulties grasped and really got some benefit from. But equally, it can be helpful for us adults when our mind is really busy. So a great benefit really of mindfulness meditation is that, as Jess did with the ocean meditation, we're fixing our attention to something, because the mind's job is to be so busy, of course, and be productive. And that's okay. We need to do that to be successful in the world. But again, we're in a revved up state a lot when we're like that. So taking these breaks to just come back to the present moment brings everything back down, and we can feel much more soothed and calm. So with this one, again, I'm going to ask you to join in if you'd like. It'll be short. You can get comfortable wherever you are seated, close your eyes, and just start to notice your breath. So wherever it is, it might be higher up in your chest. If you're feeling anxiety today, or you've got things to do, you might already be feeling a sense of calm. Wherever it is, just welcome your breath. So we're going to go through this journey of blowing up a balloon. And you could pretend the balloon's in your belly if you like that visualization, or you could just imagine a balloon in front of you, but your breath is going to blow the balloon up, and then we're going to let it go. So let's start together. Nice deep breath in through your nose, and just let the breath go back out the nose. Maybe pick your favorite color now, bring that to your mind, and imagine a balloon. With your next inhale, very slowly on your own count, imagine that your breath is blowing up the balloon. Nice and slow, your inhale fills the balloon up. And then moving right into your natural exhale, let all the air out of the balloon, nice and slow, until it's all emptied out, releasing the breath. Again, inhale, fill up your balloon, see it inflate in your mind's eye, and exhale, slowly release.
That's
Deflate your balloon.
here.
Let's do that 2 more times together. Inhale, fill up the balloon. Exhale, release it out.
Don't worry about it. It's a secret bad phone. You don't.
Final time, inhale, fill up your balloon all the way up. And exhale, empty it out, deflating your balloon.
You're a weirdo. Well,
Just take a moment, maybe check in with how you feel, where your breath is now. And then when you're ready, just gently flutter the eyes open.
That's why I play a game that is
Wait, I think she just, hold on. I
Daddy.
don't know what she just did, but she just called me.
better.
Oh boy, hang on.
And just notice how you feel.
That's why I press the button and play a game.
So you can take something like this, everybody, at just even different times during the day. It could be a great break for kids. If you yourself are just feeling very elevated, and it's so understandable, stop and take a few breaths. You might like the visualization of the balloon. You might like to think of the ocean waves. Or you can even just say to yourself, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. When you're ready, flutter your eyes open. Thank you for sharing if that helped you feel better.
I certainly feel better. One thing I'll add, so that was my little son who somehow, I think he was unmuted in a different call-in. And one thing that meditation is great for is learning how to kind of block out those distractions as you hear them. So I apologize. He's very cute, but he always makes noise at the worst time. But meditation's great for being able to release those things, hearing them, but being able to still channel your focus in spite of outside distractions. So we can pretend that that was planned. All right, mindfulness isn't difficult. We just need to remember to do it. So that's basically everything that Mary Beth and I have for you today. And now I think you all would like to open it up to any questions, any comments, anything like that, correct?
Correct. Any questions or comments for Mary Beth or Jessica? Now, Jessica, I do know that you have been doing a lot with the community in reference to mindfulness practices by offering classes during the week that are accessible to all. Can you kind of share with us how we gain access to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. So great question. So if you go to my studio website, it's thehotyogaspot.com. There's a link right on the homepage that says Flow from Home. When you go to the Flow from Home page of the website, we have 2 things on there. One of them is a pre-recorded library with all sorts of videos. We have meditations. We actually have a yoga class and a meditation for Mary Beth on there. As well as a lot of other teachers. They're all different styles, all different class levels. So that's a really great resource. You can watch those videos at any time. And then the other thing we have is a live stream schedule. So we are doing 2 yoga or fitness bar classes every single day, Saturday, Sunday included. Both of these options are completely free of charge. I really wanted, when the studio closed, I wanted to use this to help other people as much as possible. So We're offering this completely free of charge, whether you're a client, a student at the Hot Yoga Spot or not. These resources are available to you, and they're a way to keep people grounded and connected. So I really love the live stream option because when you're doing the class, you're doing it at the exact same time as the teacher and as all the other students who are participating. So that's been a really nice way for people to feel less isolated, even if they're at home alone right now or at home with just their few family members. That's been a really great resource. So like I said, just go to thehotyogaspot.com, click on the Flow from Home page of the website, and both of those options are completely free of charge for as long as this all lasts and businesses are closed, because we want people to be moving, breathing, and checking in with themselves right now more than ever.
Thank you, Mary Beth and Jessica. And Jessica, thank you for making those classes available to everyone. I'm sure that it is making a difference in many people's lives. I also appreciate the helpful tips and the, demonstrating, the breathing techniques. I know that we've got a few comments here and they found it extremely helpful, the strategies and the tips that were recommended. I'm going to ask that we move over to.
Yeah, I have a question, Jerry.
Sure, Cindy.
Hey, I'm from Texas, you guys. I'm a friend of Jerry, so and I'm not certified in yoga, but I do love yoga.
Oh, very great.
So my big question, I work with clinical teachers, math and science clinical teachers at the University of North Texas. So my thing is I'm trying to find some brief articles that connect the social emotional aspect of yoga and education. So do you guys know of anything that is out there that I could pass on to my clinical teachers? I mean, what we're doing is we're doing a lot of things you're saying. So when I meet with them, I have 33 of them right now, and we, start our class, our seminar with a joke. We do some movement before we do anything.
Good. Well, one resource I would suggest is a website called mindful.org. So it's actually an organization, and they have tremendous content on there, and they're doing a lot, particularly during the COVID pandemic. They do have some paid content, Cindy, but a majority of it is not paid. You don't have to be a subscriber. But I find they have really great resources. They're very succinct across a number of different topic areas. So I would suggest that one, and you could probably do a search for your specific population. That's one. For those that, maybe have interest in the science part of it, mindfulness-based stress reduction is a particular program it's been around, started in the 70s, created by John Kabat-Zinn, who's a psychologist. This was started at UMass Medical School. And it's a best practice, it's now worldwide. So I would also just search that.
Say it again. What is it again?
It's called mindfulness-based stress reduction. But if you look at UMass Medical School, I believe they might have just merged the programs with Brown. But they have there's a lot of science, because there's actually been scientific studies using EEG, et cetera. So that might be of interest for your science.
I'm looking for that. Yes. I mean, I do want some general things, but, I also push these clinical teachers to look for scholarly based articles and science-based things.
Harvard as well.
Not intensive, but I want them to have things that are, just vetted.
Well, thank you, Cindy, for that.
Yeah, Harvard Medical School too would be the second one.
Okay.
Like UMass, they have a lot. They've done a lot of the studies have been done at Harvard, doing like brain scans during meditation.
Well, thank you, Cindy, for that question. And what I would ask is, Jessica and Mary Beth, if there are resources that you think would be of value to the larger community, we will be more than happy to place them on our remote ED website. So I would ask that if you, Jessica or Mary Beth, if you would email that to me, and we will ensure that gets on the site.
Yeah, we can do that.
Jessica, if you wouldn't mind moving over to the next slide, that would be helpful.
There we go.
I made reference to the remoteeducation.org website, and so did Dean Lane earlier in his welcome. We have about approximately 200 references and learning materials that are free of charge. We try to curate items that are available at no cost. They are broken down by subject area, grade level, and the website is designed to be very user-friendly. So I also, for those of you who are with us today, if there are resources that you feel that we should include on the remote.ed.org website, please, again, email them to atlas@albany.edu, and that's AATLAS.albany.edu. And Jessica, if you could just move over to the next slide, that'll have our email address, as well as my contact information and the atlased.org, which is part of the remote.ed.org site. Today's conversation regarding mindfulness has been extremely helpful and useful. I thank you both for spending time with us. It was exceptionally helpful, and I'm sure that many will navigate themselves to our website where this particular session will be housed. For many of you who had folks who weren't able to join us, feel free to share the information. We also will be sending it electronically via email. So again, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Mary Beth. Dean Lane is with us. Is there any other comments that you wish to add? Well, thank you again. Dean Lane? Again, we will be sharing this Zoom session with everyone via email, and it will be on the remote.ed.org website. Thank you again, and please join us again next week.
Take care.
Thank you so
care.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.